My name is Nassim Sabs.
Let me ask you a question. Has anything ever happened to you that you couldn't explain? That made you feel sort of foolish when you tried to tell somebody about it? Well, if it has, you have plenty of company, as you'll soon see.
I think we should just trust our president in every decision that he makes, and we should just support that, you know, and be faithful in what happens.
Do you trust this president?
Yes, I do.
Britney Spears was not alone. The majority of the American people trusted the president, and why shouldn't they? He had spent the better part of the last year giving them every reason why we should invade Iraq.
Okay, so let's say one group of people, like the American people, pay you $400,000 a year to be president of the United States. But then another group of people invest in you, your friends, and their related businesses $1.4 billion over a number of years. Who are you going to like? Who's your daddy? Because that's how much the Saudi royals and their associates have given the Bush family, their friends,
How are you, sir?
and their related businesses in the past 3 decades.
We've had a very nice reunion with friends.
Is it rude to suggest that when the Bush family wakes up in the morning, they might be thinking about what's best for the Saudis instead of what's best for you or me? Because $1.4 billion just doesn't buy a lot of flights out of the country. It buys a lot of love.
To know that George H.W. Bush was meeting with the Bin Laden family while Osama was a wanted terrorist, well before September 11th. It's very discomforting for Americans to know that. George H.W. Bush is a man who has obviously incredible reach into the White House. He receives daily CIA briefings, which is the right of any ex-president, but very few ex-presidents actually exercise that right. He does.
Sooner or later, this special relationship with a regime that Amnesty International condemns as a widespread human rights violator would come back to haunt the Bushes. Now, after 9/11, it was an embarrassment, and they preferred that no one ask any questions.
The investigation should have begun on September 12th. There's no reason why it shouldn't have. 3,000 people were dead, it was a murder, and it should have gotten started immediately.
First, Bush tried to stop Congress from setting up its own 9/11 investigation.
It's important for us to not reveal how we collect information. That's what the enemy wants. And we're fighting an enemy.
When he couldn't stop Congress, he then tried to stop an independent 9/11 commission from being formed.
The president's position was a break from history. Independent investigations were launched within days of Pearl Harbor and President Kennedy's assassination.
But when Congress did complete its own investigation, the Bush White House censored 28 pages of the report.
The president is being pressed by all sides to declassify the report. U.S. officials tell NBC News most of the secret sources involve Saudi Arabia.
We have given extraordinary cooperation with Chairman Keane and Hamilton.
We haven't gotten the materials we needed, and we certainly haven't gotten them in a timely fashion. The deadlines we set have passed.
Will you testify before the commission?
This commission? You know, I don't testify. I mean, I'd be glad to visit with them.
Ignored by the Bush administration, more than 500 relatives of 9/11 victims filed suit against Saudi royals and others. The lawyers the Saudi defense minister hired to fight the 9/11 families? The law firm of Bush family confidant, James A. Baker.
So we're right here in the center of 3 important American landmarks, the Watergate Hotel and office building, the Kennedy Center over there, and the Embassy of Saudi Arabia. How much money do the Saudis have invested in America, roughly?
I've heard figures as high as $860 billion.
860 billion.
Billion.
That's a lot of money.
A lot.
And what percentage of our economy does that represent? I mean, it seems like a lot.
Well, in terms of investments on Wall Street, in American equities, it's roughly 6 or 7% of America. They own a fairly good slice of America. And most of that money goes into the great blue chip companies. Citibank is the largest stockholder of the Saudi. AOL Time Warner has big Saudi investors.
So I read where the Saudis have $1 trillion in our banks of their money. What would happen if one day we just pulled that $1 trillion out?
$1 trillion, that would be an enormous blow to the economy.
You come in September 12th, ready to plot what response we take to Al-Qaeda. Let me talk about the response that you got from top administration officials. On that day, what did the president say to you?
The president, in a very intimidating way, left us, me and my staff, with the clear indication that he wanted us to come back with the word that there was an Iraqi hand behind 9/11, because they had been planning to do something about Iraq from before the time they came into office.
Did he ask about any other nations other than Iraq?
No, not at all. It was Iraq, Saddam, find out, get back to me.
And were his questions more about Iraq than about Al-Qaeda?
Absolutely. Absolutely. He didn't ask me about Al-Qaeda.
And the reaction you got that day from the defense secretary, Donald Rumsfeld, from his assistant, Paul Wolfowitz?
Well, Donald Rumsfeld said, when we talked about bombing the Al-Qaeda infrastructure in Afghanistan, he said there were no good targets in Afghanistan. Let's bomb Iraq. And we said, but Iraq had nothing to do with this. And that didn't seem to make much difference. And the reason they had to do Afghanistan first was it was obvious that Al-Qaeda had attacked us. And it was obvious that Al-Qaeda was in Afghanistan. The American people wouldn't have stood by if we had done nothing on Afghanistan.
Or was the war in Afghanistan really about something else? Perhaps the answer was in Houston, Texas. In 1997, while George W. Bush was governor of Texas, a delegation of Taliban leaders from Afghanistan flew to Houston to meet with Unocal executives to discuss the building of a pipeline through Afghanistan, bringing natural gas from the Caspian Sea. And who got a Caspian Sea drilling contract the same day Unocal signed the pipeline deal? A company headed by a man named Dick Cheney.
And then, of course, he goes on tour. The guy's been touring for 20-something years. He's got over 1,000 tour dates. It's insane.
Didn't he used to, I don't mean to derail this conversation because you're on a roll, but doesn't he have multiple personas?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you mentioned that. So he becomes huge. Right? I mean, everybody knows who Garth Brooks is. Everybody. So he's huge, biggest country music singer ever. One of the biggest, or maybe the biggest, or one of the biggest sellers out there, and huge, tons of money. In the middle of this, he ends up taking on the person, and he's winning award after award. In the middle of this, he ends up taking on the persona of Chris Gaines.
Yes, that's who.
Remember Chris Gaines?
Yep.
You pull up Chris Gaines. Look at the photos of Garth Brooks as Chris Gaines. And by the way, he did a whole documentary as Chris Gaines.
Isn't Chris Gaines a gay guy?
No, Chris Gaines is a sex addict from.
He looks gay.
So Chris Gaines is supposedly a sex addict who was scarred in a car accident. He's from Australia. He speaks with an Australian accent. And when Garth Brooks is interviewed or speaks and he's dressed up as Chris Gaines, he never breaks. It's a complete persona.
This is known that Garth Brooks is Chris Gaines, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, listen, there's a whole behind the music, documentary about Chris Gaines, as if he's a real person. Like, this is Garth Brooks.
Right.
He got a special makeup
Steve,
artist.
Find us some fun stuff on this guy. Find us some juicy videos or some fun clips or anything to spice it up.
It's insanity. It's straight fucking insanity.
Yeah. So if Chris Gaines is a construct, is Garth Brooks a construct as well?
Whispers of a darker secret haunting the country music legend. In the late 1980s, Garth Brooks rose to stardom with a string of blockbuster albums, including his self-titled debut, Garth Brooks, followed by No Fences, Roping the Wind, Beyond the Season, The Chase, and In Pieces. But during this rise, a sinister coincidence emerged. Missing person reports escalated on a steady incline. Was this mere happenstance or something more sinister? Some theorists suggest that within Garth's album titles lies an eerie code, whispering of horrors unimaginable. The year 1998 saw a harrowing peak in missing person reports across the United States, coinciding eerily with the release of Garth's album Sevens. With its overt reference to the biblical 7 deadly sins, could it be a cryptic admission of remorse for the havoc caused by a hidden truth? Following the release, a sharp decline in missing person incidents raised more questions than answers. As the pieces of this disturbing puzzle fall into place, we uncover a chilling connection in the song choices. Act naturally. Unwound. Don't close your eyes. You ain't going nowhere. Hold on, I'm coming. Shout, and hauntingly, friends in low places. Could these songs conceal deeper meaning, or are they mere innocent coincidences?
Do you remember when he tried out to be like a, I forget what the team was, the Yankees or the Cubs? You know, oh, multiple times he's tried out to play baseball. He wants to be a baseball star. He can't make the team, but he keeps donating money for them to give him a chance. Like, hey, here's $3 million to this charity. Let me try out. You know, so he goes down to, you know, wherever, Fort Lauderdale or wherever, and he tries out. So in one of these places, flies the private jet in. It's parked at the airport. He's playing. A guy ends up missing. And the guy's car, Steven? So the guy's car ends up in long-term parking at the airport. I mean, pretty odd. The guy ends up disappearing here next to the stadium where he's playing, and his car ends up in the long-term parking right next to where Garth's private plane is.
Whoa. Or in the book.
I want to say the combination of the two, over 200.
Over 200.
So we're talking about 120 missing persons and 90 unsolved homicides.
Okay. And out of all of those, which ones do you think are, how many of them do you think are like really high probability?
Maybe 10. And I mean stuff like Garth Brooks has a bar, Friends in Low Places in Nashville. About less than a mile away. There's a homeless person that ends up disappearing. The body's found half a mile away from Garth's bar. You know? And Garth, by the way, lives not far from there. He's got like I forget what it's called, Blue Ridge Estates or something. He's built this massive house where he and Trisha Yearwood live. Listen, there's so many. There's one where they park. There's a convoy of trucks, right? Like 18-wheelers that stop at a rest stop. Garth Brooks is going from this state to this state. He has to go along this route. Mm-hmm. There are 18-wheelers that are parked at a rest stop. There's a young girl who's traveling to school. She travels the same route. She pulls over at the rest stop, parks there, disappears. She's never seen again. Her mother calls and says, calls the highway patrol and says, listen, she never showed up to school. The next day, they find her car at the rest stop. They ask a bunch of witnesses, and the witnesses say, yeah, I remember her. She was speaking to a guy who was 6 foot tall, had brown hair, about in his mid-30s, same age Garth was at the time. And they said that guy was somehow connected to a bunch of an 18-wheeler. I think he was either in the truck or had some kind of connection. He was connected to this truck, and then the girl disappears. And you think, okay, that's pretty odd. But what's really odd is that the girl's body was found like 2 states over a week later on the side of the road on another highway that Garth's convoy had to travel to his next spot.
Whoa.
So super, super odd. Very odd, right? Right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. And there's a lot of them where it's just like, hey, 2 miles away from where he was performing, somebody disappeared. 4 miles away from where he was at the Grammy Awards,
right?
Somebody was found choked to death or shot. Here, like there's those which seem random until you start adding up the numbers.
And I'd love to be bad. Oh, no, you don't want to be a bad guy. No, I mean you look like a good guy. Okay, I guess I'd rather kill somebody. Oh, you would? That'd be fun. Sure.
Oh, so he must have this hidden mean streak that we can't see. You're talking about Nashville.
Are the missing person reports a coincidence, or is there malevolent truth lurking beneath the surface?